Grace Sullivan's hands shook as she loaded the rifle. Through the window, she watched the rider approach Nathan Merrick, the man who could destroy everything. Behind her, 5 children huddled together, hungry and terrified. Clara, 10 years old, held baby Sam close. Ben's stutter grew worse. The twins hadn't spoken in days. "Mama," Clara whispered. "Is he the bad man?" Grace's finger found the trigger. The debt was due. Her land, her home, her children's future, all of it balanced on this moment. She'd survived a drunk husband, brutal winters and grinding poverty. But could she survive the richest, coldest man in Wyoming territory? Before we begin this story of redemption, love and second chances, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Stay with us until the very end. You won't believe how this transforms. And drop a comment telling us what city or country you're watching from. We love seeing how far these frontier tales travel. Now let's step back to where it all began. The morning Jacob Sullivan died, Grace was hanging laundry. She remembered that detail with crystal clarity even now, 73 days later. The way his shirt had dripped cold water onto her bare feet. The way the wind had carried the sound of men shouting from the saloon 2 miles away. The way she'd known somehow before the wagon arrived with his body. "Mrs. Sullivan." Tom Pritchard had removed his hat. That's how she knew it was bad. There was a fight. Jacob, he drew on Virgil Cain, never even cleared leather. Grace had stood there, shirt in hand, water dripping. 5 children inside the house. $8 in the coffee tin. Winter coming. Where's the body? Now, 73 days later, she split firewood in the same spot where she'd received that news. Her hands bled through the bandages. The axe was dull. She couldn't afford to have it sharpened in town. "Mama." Clara appeared in the doorway. 10 years old. She'd stopped being a child the day Jacob died. "Toby Gray just rode past. Says Mr. Merrick's coming. Today." Grace's hands stilled on the axe handle. Nathan Merrick. The name carried weight in Wyoming territory like snow carried cold. Wealthiest rancher in 3 counties. 10,000 head of cattle. Land stretching from the Sweetwater River to the Wind River Mountains. And a reputation for collecting debts the way winter collected bones. Jacob had borrowed $800. Grace had 43. "Get your brothers and sisters inside," Grace said. "Lock the door." "Mama, what are you gonna do?" Grace set down the axe, picked up the rifle leaning against the woodpile, checked the load. "Whatever I have to." Clara's eyes widened. "You can't shoot Mr. Merrick." "I won't shoot him, but he needs to see I ain't defenseless." Clara ran inside. Grace heard the bolts slide home. Through the thin walls, she heard Ben's stutter growing worse, heard Lily trying to comfort Rose, who hadn't spoken since witnessing her father's death, heard baby Sam start to wail. Grace shouldered the rifle and waited. The rider appeared on the ridge just after dawn broke full. Tall man, broad shoulders, gray-streaked hair despite being maybe 35, 36. He sat his horse like a man who'd been born to it, like he owned the ground it walked on, which Grace thought bitterly he probably would by sundown. Nathan Merrick rode down the slope with the kind of deliberate pace that said he wasn't afraid of anything. Not weather, not animals, not desperate widows with rifles. He stopped 20 feet from her porch. "Mrs. Sullivan?" "Mr. Merrick." His eyes flicked to the rifle, back to her face. No fear, no anger, just cold assessment. "That loaded?" "Yes, sir." "You know how to use it?" "My daddy taught me before he died at Wilson's Creek. I can hit a rabbit at 100 yards. You're a considerably larger target." Something almost like a smile touched his mouth. "Almost." "I'm not here for trouble, ma'am." "Then why are you here?" Nathan dismounted, slow, hands visible. He pulled a paper from his vest pocket. "Your husband borrowed $800 on March 15th. Use this land as collateral. Loan came due June 15th. It's now September 21st. That's 98 days past due." "My husband's dead." "I'm aware. I sent $50 for the funeral. Anonymous donation, Grace said. Didn't know it was from you. Doesn't change the debt. Grace's finger moved closer to the trigger. Not threatening, just ready. I got $43. The note says $800. I know what the damn note says. I also know I got 5 children to feed. I know the wheat's almost ready to harvest. I know if you give me 2 weeks, I can bring in that crop and pay you half. Maybe more. Nathan's eyes moved past her to the fields. Grace saw him calculate, saw the rancher's instinct assess the crop quality, the yield, the weather risk. 2 weeks is a long time, he said. Weather could turn. Hail could destroy it. You got no hands to bring it in. I'll bring it in myself if I have to. You and what help you can't harvest 4 acres alone. Then I'll work day and night. You'll kill yourself. Better than watching my children starve. The words hung between them like gun smoke. Nathan's jaw worked. He looked at the house, at the thin curtains moving where small faces pressed against glass, at the pathetic garden Grace had nursed through summer, at the fence falling down, the roof patched with mismatched boards. Why'd Jacob borrow the money? Said it was for seed. Turned out half went to Virgil Cain's poker table. Other half got planted too late. Jacob Sullivan was a fool. Jacob Sullivan was my husband. Doesn't make him less of a fool. Grace's temper, held in check for 73 days, finally snapped. You ride up here on your expensive horse, wearing your fancy clothes, sitting in judgment on a dead man. You know what Jacob was? He was scared. Scared of failing. Scared of disappointing his family. Scared of being less than what this territory demands of a man. So yeah, he drank. Yeah, he gambled. Yeah, he made mistakes. But he also died trying to defend his honor against a man who cheated him. So you can call him a fool all you want, Mr. Merrick, but at least Jacob tried. At least he cared about something other than money. Nathan's face didn't change, but his eyes did. Something flickered there. Pain, maybe. Recognition. 10 days, he said. Grace blinked. What? You got 10 days to bring in that wheat. You pay me $400 by the 1st of October, I'll extend the note for the rest. 6 months, standard interest. Why would you do that? Nathan mounted his horse, looked down at her. Because I remember what it's like to be scared, and because your children don't deserve to pay for their father's mistakes. He started to turn the horse. Mr. Merrick. He stopped. I can't bring in 4 acres alone. I got no money to hire hands. I know what you got. Nathan's voice was rough. I'm staying. Staying. I'll camp by your creek. Help with the harvest. Make sure my investment's protected. Grace lowered the rifle. You're going to help me harvest wheat. You object. I don't understand. You don't need to understand. You need to work. Sun's burning daylight. He rode toward the creek without looking back. Grace stood there, rifle in hand, watching him go. Behind her, the door cracked open. Mama? Clara whispered. Is he really gonna help? I don't know, baby. I don't know. But Nathan Merrick was already unsaddling his horse by the creek, setting up camp like a man who planned to stay. Dead. The children didn't know what to make of him. Grace watched through the window as Nathan worked on the broken fence, his movements efficient and sure. Ben had crept out to watch from a safe distance. The boy's stutter always got worse around strangers, and he hadn't said a word since Nathan arrived. Clara watched the baby. I'm taking Mr. Merrick some water. Mama, is he really gonna help? Or is this some trick? I don't know, but a man who works deserves water. Grace filled a canteen from the well and walked to where Nathan was replacing a rotted fence post. He'd stripped down to his work shirt sleeves rolled up. She saw scars on his forearms, lots of them. Mr. Merrick? He straightened. Sweat ran down his temple. Water, she said, offering the canteen. He drank deeply. wiped his mouth. This fence is a hazard. You got livestock. 1 milk cow, some chickens. Cow could break a leg in this. I'll have it fixed by sundown. You don't have to. I'm protecting my investment, that's all. His voice was cold again, the brief warmth from earlier gone. Grace's temper stirred. Right. Your investment. For a minute there I thought maybe you were being decent. Decent doesn't pay debts. Neither does being an ass, but you seem to manage both. Nathan's eyes snapped to hers. For a heartbeat she thought she'd gone too far. Then his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. Fair enough, Mrs. Sullivan. Grace. Ma'am, if you're going to be here for 10 days, might as well use my given name. Mrs. Sullivan makes me feel like my mother-in-law. Grace, he repeated, like he was testing the word. Nathan. I know your name, but you keep calling me Mr. Merrick, like I'm some kind of banker. Aren't you? I'm a rancher. There's a difference. Is there? Nathan turned back to the fence. Sometimes I wonder. Grace watched him work for a moment. Why are you really doing this? Told you. Protecting my BD investment. Yeah, I heard, but you got foremen, ranch hands. You could have sent any one of them to oversee the harvest. Instead, you're here, fixing fences. Why? Nathan's hands stilled on the fence post. Your daughter asked me something yesterday. Clara? No, the little one. Lily. Grace's heart clenched. Lily hadn't spoken to anyone except Rose since Jacob died. What did she say? She asked if I was the bad man coming to take her house. Nathan drove the fence post deep into the ground with controlled violence. I didn't like being called that. Not by a child who should still believe in good men. There aren't many good men in Wyoming territory, Mr. Merrick. Nathan. Nathan. He looked at her then, really looked. And Grace saw something in his eyes she hadn't expected. Loneliness. The kind that carves itself into your bones and makes a home there. No, he said quietly. I reckon there aren't, but maybe I'm tired of being a bad one. Before Grace could respond, a shout came from the house. Mama! Mama, come quick! Grace ran. She found Clara in the bedroom holding baby Sam. The baby's face was red, his breathing labored. He won't stop coughing. I tried everything. Grace took Sam, felt his forehead, burning up. Get me cool water, now! Her mind raced. The nearest doctor was in Laramie, 20 miles away. She had no wagon, no horse except the milk cow, no money for medical care even if she could get him there. Grace. Nathan stood in the doorway. The baby's sick, fever, cough. Nathan crossed the room in 3 strides, looked at Sam with practiced eyes. Croup. My nephew had it last winter. You got honey. A little. Honey and warm water, small sips. Keep him upright so he can breathe. I'll ride to my ranch, get some medicine my foreman keeps. That's 4 hours round trip. Then I better hurry. He was gone before Grace could thank him. Clara looked at her mother. Is Sam gonna die? No, baby, he's not gonna die. How do you know? Because I won't let him. Grace thought. Because I've already lost too much. Because Mr. Merrick's getting medicine. You trust him. Grace looked at her daughter's scared face. At the baby struggling to breathe in her arms. At the broken house around them. I don't know, she admitted. But right now, he's all we got. Wow. Nathan returned 3 hours later with medicine and Dr. Abigail Chen. Grace stared at the Chinese woman climbing down from Nathan's wagon. You brought a doctor. Dr. Chen's the best physician in the territory, Nathan said. She'll take care of Sam. Dr. Chen was maybe 50, with steel gray hair and hands that moved with absolute confidence. She examined Sam quickly, efficiently. Croup. Not severe yet, but it could become so. You did right keeping him upright. She pulled out a brown bottle. Tincture of ipecac. 3 drops every 4 hours. Keep the room humid. Boil water, let the steam fill the air. She handed the bottle to Grace. How much do I owe you? Grace asked. Mr. Merrick's already paid. I can't accept. You can, and you will. Dr. Chen's voice was firm but kind. I know what it's like to be a woman alone with children depending on you. Accept the help, Mrs. Sullivan. Someday, when you're stronger, you'll help someone else. Grace's throat tightened. Thank you. After Dr. Chen left, Grace found Nathan at his camp by the creek. He was cleaning his rifle, the motion's automatic. You didn't have to do that. Baby needed a doctor. You paid her. I pay for everything I get. That's how the world works. Grace sat down on a rock near his fire, uninvited. But she didn't care anymore. Why are you really here, Nathan? He didn't look up from the rifle. 7 years ago, I was engaged to a woman named Eleanor Hartford, Senator's daughter. Beautiful, educated, everything a man could want. Grace waited. 3 weeks before the wedding, I found her in my study with a state legislator. They were planning to use my ranch, my money, my reputation to fund his political campaign. She'd been stealing from my accounts for months. $20,000. Grace sucked in a breath. I tracked her to Denver, got the money back, but something died in me that day. Trust maybe, or hope. I came back here and swore I'd never let anyone close enough to hurt me again. Built walls higher than the Rockies. He finally looked at her. Then I rode up here to collect a debt, and a little girl asked if I was the bad man. And I realized somewhere along the way, I'd become exactly what Eleanor said I was. Cold, hard, more interested in money than people. You're here now. Yeah, I'm here. Don't know if it changes anything. Don't know if I can change. But I figured I owed it to that little girl to try. Grace's chest ached. Lily's been through hell. Lost her daddy. Saw things no child should see. She hasn't spoken more than a dozen words in 2 months. She spoke to me. I know. That means something. Nathan set down the rifle, looked at the stars emerging in the darkening sky. Grace, I need you to understand something. I'm not a good man. I've done things during the war after Eleanor, things that keep me awake at night. I'm helping you because I need to believe I'm not completely lost. But don't mistake that for nobility. I'm still collecting this debt. I'm still protecting my interests. I just want to do it without destroying a family in the process. That's more than most men would do. Most men haven't seen a 10-year-old girl carrying adult weight on her shoulders, or a 6-year-old boy who stutters because he's scared all the time, or twins who've stopped speaking because the world hurt them too much. His voice cracked slightly. Most men haven't watched a widow work herself bloody trying to save her children. Grace felt tears prick her eyes. What happened to you in the war? Things we don't talk about. Nathan. I was at Cold Harbor, Shiloh, Atlanta. I killed men whose names I never knew. Watched friends die screaming. Came home and realized the country we'd saved didn't know what to do with the men who'd saved it. So we came west. Thought we could outrun the nightmares. Did you? No, just found different ones out here. They sat in silence. The creek burbled. An owl called. You remind me of someone, Nathan said finally. Eleanor. God, no. He almost smiled. My mother, she was a widow too. My father died at Pea Ridge when I was 12. Mama raised me and my 3 sisters alone. Worked herself to death doing it. Died when I was 16. I'm sorry. Don't be. She was the strongest person I ever knew, and the kindest. Even when we had nothing, she'd share what little we had. Said generosity wasn't about having enough. It was about trusting you'd get enough back when you needed it. Did you? Sometimes, sometimes not. But I learned something watching her. Strength isn't about not needing help. It's about asking for it when you do. Grace wiped her eyes. I hate asking for help. I know, so do I. Turns out we're both stubborn fools. Reckon so. Nathan stood, offered his hand. Grace took it. He pulled her to her feet. For a moment they stood close, his hand warm around hers. Then he stepped back. You should get back to Sam. Check on him through the night. What about you? I'll keep watch. Make sure no unwelcome visitors show up. You think someone might? Nathan's face hardened. Virgil Cain's been asking around town about your land. Man like that, he might decide to take what he wants rather than wait for me to foreclose. Fear spiked through Grace. He killed Jacob. I know. Drew first, but Jacob never had a chance. Virgil's fast. So am I. The way he said it, cold certain, sent a shiver down Grace's spine. Thank you, Nathan, for everything today. Don't thank me yet. We got 9 more days of this. Grace walked back to the house. At the door, she turned. Nathan sat by his fire rifle across his lap, staring into the flames. A man haunted by ghosts. A man trying to outrun his past. A man Grace realized not so different from her. Inside, Sam slept peacefully. The medicine was working. Clara dozed in a chair beside the crib. Ben and Lily and Rose were piled together in the big bed, seeking comfort in closeness. Grace stood at the window, watching Nathan's fire burn steady in the darkness. 10 days. 10 days to bring in the wheat. 10 days to save her children. 10 days to figure out if Nathan Merrick was her salvation or her destruction. She touched the cool glass, whispered a prayer she wasn't sure anyone heard. Please, just let us survive this. That's all I ask. Just survival. But outside, Nathan Merrick stared into the fire and wondered if survival was enough. Or if maybe, just maybe, he was being offered something more. Something he'd sworn he'd never want again. Something that terrified him more than any debt or any outlaw or any nightmare from the war. Hope. Morning came harsh and bright. Grace woke to the sound of hammering. She checked Sam fever, broken breathing easy, and went outside. Nathan had finished the fence and was now working on the barn roof. 3 boards replaced already fresh lumber stacked nearby. Where did that wood come from? Had Toby bring it last night? Who's Toby? My foreman. Good man. Half Sioux, half Scottish. Makes no sense, but there it is. Grace shielded her eyes against the sun. You can't pay for all this. Already did. Nathan. The roof's a hazard. You can't have a barn collapse on your livestock. This is basic maintenance, Grace, not charity. Feels like charity. Then feel however you want. I'm fixing the roof. His tone said the discussion was over. Grace went back inside, frustrated. Clara was feeding the younger children cornmeal mush. It was thin, barely enough, but it was all they had. Mama, there's only enough cornmeal for 2 more days. I know. What are we going to do? Harvest wheat, sell it, buy more food. But that's going to take... I know, Clara, I know. Her daughter's face crumpled. 10 years old. Already carrying the weight of knowledge that childhood was a luxury they couldn't afford. Grace pulled Clara close. We're gonna make it. Okay, I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. A knock at the door. Nathan stood there, hat in hand. Toby's bringing supplies. Flour, cornmeal, salt pork. Be here by noon. I told you. It's coming out of what you'll owe me. Call it an advance against the wheat harvest. But those children need to eat, and I need workers who aren't faint from hunger. This is business, Grace, nothing more. He walked away before she could argue. Clara looked at her mother. He's not what people say, is he? What do people say? That he's cold, mean. That he'd foreclose on his own mother if she owed him money. Grace watched Nathan climb back onto the barn roof. No, she said quietly. He's not what people say. By afternoon, The supplies had arrived. Toby Gray turned out to be a weathered man in his 50s with shrewd eyes and a gentle manner. He tipped his hat to Grace. "Ma'am, Nathan says you might need help with the harvest." "Nathan's already helping." "Reckon he is. But one man and a widow can't bring in 4 acres alone. I'll send 3 hands day after tomorrow. Good workers. They'll help with the cutting and threshing." "I can't pay." "Nathan's paying. Out of his own pocket, not the debt." Grace's throat tightened. "Why?" Toby's smile was sad. "Because 7 years ago Nathan Merrick was a man who laughed, who believed in second chances, who helped neighbors without expecting return. Then Eleanor Hartford broke something in him. Broke it so bad we all thought it was permanent." He looked at Nathan on the roof. "But watching him with you and your young'uns these past 2 days, I'm seeing something I haven't seen in 7 years. I'm seeing him care about something other than money. So yeah, he's paying out of his own pocket, because maybe, just maybe, helping you is helping him remember who he used to be." Toby rode away, leaving Grace with a barn full of supplies and a heart full of confusion. That night, after the children were asleep, Grace walked to Nathan's camp. He was cleaning his rifle again. Always cleaning it. Like he expected trouble. "Can't sleep?" he asked without looking up. "Too much on my mind." "Sam doing better?" "Much better. Thank you." Nathan nodded. Set down the rifle. "Nathan, why are you really doing all this? We've had this conversation." "No. We've had you avoiding this conversation. I want the truth." He was quiet for a long time. Then, "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" "What do you mean?" "I mean you wake up one day and realize you've become someone you don't recognize. Someone your younger self would be ashamed of. Someone your mother wouldn't claim." "Yeah," Grace said softly. "I felt that. After Eleanor left, I built walls, made rules, decided trust was weakness and mercy was stupidity, built an empire on cold calculation and colder cash. And it worked. I got rich, powerful, respected. But I also got alone. So goddamn alone that sometimes I'd go days without talking to anyone. I'd sit in my big house with my fancy furniture and my expensive whiskey, and I'd think, this is it. This is what winning looks like." His voice broke slightly. "Then I rode up here to collect a debt from a widow I'd never met. And I saw you standing there, rifle in hand, bleeding through bandages, half-starved, but still fighting. Saw your children's faces in the window, saw what survival really looks like. And I realized I'd been playing at life while you were living it. That why you're staying?" "I'm staying because your daughter asked if I was the bad man, and I want to prove to her to myself that I'm not. Maybe I can't undo 7 years of being an asshole. But maybe I can do right by one family for 10 days. Maybe that's enough." Grace sat down beside him, close enough their shoulders almost touched. "Eleanor was a fool." Nathan laughed bitterly. "Eleanor was smart. She saw what I was worth and took it." "No, she saw what you were worth in dollars. She missed what you were worth as a man. That makes her a fool." Nathan looked at her, really looked. In the firelight, his eyes were softer than she'd ever seen them. "You're a dangerous woman, Grace Sullivan." "Why?" "Because you make me believe things I know better than to believe." "Like what?" "Like maybe it's not too late. Like maybe I can be someone decent again. Like maybe—" He stopped himself. "Like maybe what?" Nathan stood abruptly. "Like maybe I should check the perimeter. Virgil could show up any time." Nathan. "Get some sleep, Grace. Tomorrow, we start the real work." He walked into the darkness, leaving Grace alone by the fire. She sat there watching the flames, understanding blooming in her chest. Nathan Merrick wasn't just helping her save her farm, he was trying to save himself. And somehow Grace realized their fates had become tangled together like roots growing deep. 10 days. But already Grace suspected 10 days wouldn't be enough. Not to harvest the wheat. Not to pay the debt. not to untangle the complicated feelings growing between a widow who'd sworn to never trust again and a rancher who'd forgotten how to trust at all. The fire burned low. Grace went back to the house, leaving Nathan to his ghosts and his guard duty and his desperate hope for redemption. Behind her, the man by the creek stood in shadow rifle in hand, protecting something that had begun to matter more than money. Protecting something he hadn't felt in 7 long years. Something fragile and dangerous and terrifying. Something that felt dangerously like hope. Dawn broke with the sound of horses. Grace jerked awake, heart hammering. Through the window she saw 3 riders approaching. Her hand reached for the rifle before she recognized Toby Gray in the lead. Nathan was already outside talking to the men. Grace threw on her dress and hurried out. "These are the hands I mentioned," Toby said. "Pete Marcus and young William. They'll help with the harvest." The 3 men tipped their hats. Pete was older, weathered. Marcus looked strong as an ox. William couldn't have been more than 19. "Ma'am," they said in unison, "I appreciate the help, but I still can't." "It's handled," Nathan said. His voice had that clipped tone that meant the discussion was over. "We start cutting today. Weather's holding, but it won't last forever." Grace wanted to argue, wanted to maintain some shred of independence. But Clara was watching from the doorway with hope in her eyes, and baby Sam needed medicine, and the cornmeal wouldn't last another week. "Thank you," she said instead. Nathan's eyes met hers. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or recognition that they were both surrendering something here. "Let's get to work," he said. The men moved toward the wheat field. Grace started to follow, but Nathan caught her arm. "Grace, before we start, you need to know something." "What?" "Virgil Cain was in town yesterday, asking questions about your land, about the debt, about me being here." Fear spiked cold through her chest. "What kind of questions?" "The kind that suggest he's planning something. I want you to keep the children inside today. Keep that rifle loaded." "You think he'll come here?" "I think a man who killed your husband won't stop at gossip. Just be careful." He released her arm and walked away, leaving Grace's mind racing. Clara appeared at her elbow. "Mama? What's wrong?" "Nothing, baby. Just stay close to the house today, okay? You and the others." "Is it because of Mr. Cain?" Grace's blood ran cold. "You know about Virgil Cain. Ben heard some men talking in town, said Mr. Cain wants our land, said he'll do anything to get it." Grace pulled Clara close. "Listen to me. You see Virgil Cain or any of his men, you get your brothers and sisters inside and bolt that door. You hear me?" "Yes, ma'am." "And Clara, you're the oldest. You protect them if something happens to me." "Mama, don't." "Promise me." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I promise." Grace watched her daughter go inside, then turned toward the wheat field where Nathan and the hands were beginning to work. The scythes sang through the golden stalks. The rhythm was almost peaceful. But Grace couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was coming. And this time, it wouldn't be rain. By mid-morning, they'd cut a 1/4 acre. Grace worked alongside the men bundling wheat as they cut. Her back screamed. Her hands bled through the bandages. But she didn't stop. Nathan worked like a man possessed. His scythe moved in perfect rhythm, never faltering. Sweat soaked through his shirt, but he didn't slow down. "Boss," Pete called, "you're gonna kill yourself working that pace." "Then I'll die with a clear conscience. Keep cutting." Marcus shook his head but didn't argue. The men knew Nathan's moods. Around noon, Clara brought water and cold cornbread. The men stopped to rest. Nathan drank deeply, then looked at Grace. "You're bleeding again." Grace looked at her hands. Fresh blood seeped through the cloth. "It's nothing." "It's not nothing. Take a break." "I'm fine." Grace. "I said I'm fine, Nathan. We got 8 more days and 4 acres. I don't have time for breaks." She walked away before he could argue back to bundling wheat. Behind her, she heard Pete mutter something. Nathan's sharp response. But she didn't look back. The work consumed everything. There was only the rhythm of gather tie stack. Gather tie stack. Her world narrowed to the wheat in her hands, and the ache in her muscles, and the desperate prayer that this would be enough. That she could save her children. That Nathan wouldn't leave. That Virgil Cain would stay away. The sun climbed higher. The heat became brutal. Grace's vision swam, but she kept working. Then Ben screamed. Grace dropped the wheat and ran. Ben stood at the edge of the field, pointing toward the house. Smoke rose from the chicken coop. "No!" Grace breathed. She ran harder than she'd ever run. Behind her, Nathan shouted something, but she didn't hear. All she could see was smoke. All she could think was fire spreads fast. The house is dry wood. My babies are inside. She reached the coop to find the fire already spreading to the barn. Not accident. The pattern was wrong. This was deliberate. "Clara!" Grace screamed. "Get the children out. Now!" The door flew open. Clara emerged with Rose and Lily both crying. "But Sam? Where's Sam?" "Inside. I couldn't carry him and the twins." Grace ran toward the house. Nathan caught her. "Let me go. It's too dangerous. My baby is in there." She fought him with desperate strength, clawed at his face, kicked, screamed. But Nathan held tight. "I'll get him," he said. "I'll get Sam. But you can't go in there." He released her and ran toward the house. Grace watched him disappear into the smoke. Seconds felt like hours. The fire spread. The barn caught. If the house went up, Nathan emerged, Sam in his arms. The baby was screaming, terrified but alive. Grace grabbed her son, held him close, counted fingers and toes through her tears. "He's okay," Nathan said. "Just scared." Grace looked at the burning barn, at the destroyed chicken coop, at Nathan's soot-stained face. This wasn't an accident. "No," Nathan agreed. "It wasn't." Pete and Marcus had gotten water from the well, were fighting to keep the fire from spreading to the house. Toby appeared with more men from Nathan's ranch. They worked in desperate coordination, bucket after bucket. By the time they contained it, the barn was half destroyed and the chicken coop was ash. Grace stood holding Sam, watching her livelihood burn. The milk cow was terrified. The chickens were scattered or dead, the feed stored in the barn gone. "Grace!" She turned. Nathan stood there, his face grim. This was a message. "Virgil wants you scared. Wants you to give up and run." "Well, it worked. I'm scared." "But you're not running." "I got nowhere to run to, Nathan. This is it. This is all I got left." He stepped closer. Close enough she could see the worry in his eyes. "You've got me. For 8 more days you've got me. And then what? You collect your money and ride away. Leave us here to face whatever Virgil does next." Nathan's jaw tightened. That's exactly what'll happen. Because at the end of the day, you're here for the debt. Not for me. Not for my children. For money. She walked away before he could respond, before he could see the tears, before she broke completely. Inside the house, Clara had corralled the children. They were crying, scared. Grace set Sam in his cradle and gathered the others close. "Is the barn gone?" Clara whispered. "Most of it. The chickens." "I don't know yet, baby." "Mama, I'm scared." "I know. Me too." Grace held her children and tried not to think about how close they'd come. How if Nathan hadn't been here, if he hadn't run into that smoke, Sam would be. She couldn't finish the thought. Outside, Nathan organized the men. They'd save what they could of the barn. Post guards keep watch. His voice carried through the thin walls. Strong, certain, in command. Grace closed her eyes and admitted something she'd been fighting for days. She was falling for Nathan Merrick, and it terrified her more than any fire. Night fell with armed men surrounding Grace's property. Nathan had posted guards in shifts. Toby took first watch. The ranch hands patrolled the perimeter. If Virgil came back, he'd find more resistance than he expected. Grace fed the children what little she had, then put them to bed. They huddled together, seeking comfort. She sang them a lullaby her mother had sung to her. Her voice cracked, but she kept going. When she emerged from the bedroom, Nathan was waiting. They asleep. Finally. "Grace, about what you said earlier?" "Don't. Please. I was upset. Scared. I said things you meant." She met his eyes. "Maybe. You think I'm here just for money. Aren't you?" Nathan's hand clenched and unclenched. "When I rode up here 3 days ago, yeah. That's all it was. A debt to collect. Business. And now? Now I don't know what the hell it is. All I know is when I saw that fire, when I thought you might run in there." His voice broke. "Grace, I can't lose someone else. I can't watch another person I care about get hurt because I wasn't fast enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't there." "Someone else." Nathan turned away. "During the war. Cold Harbor. My unit got pinned down. Artillery everywhere. My best friend James, he was hit. Screaming for help. And I froze. Just for a second. But a second was too long. By the time I reached him, he couldn't finish." Grace touched his arm. "That wasn't your fault." "Wasn't it?" I hesitated. "I was scared. And James died because of it. You were in a war. People die in wars. People die because men like me aren't brave enough when it counts." Grace moved to face him. "You ran into a burning building today. For my son. A child you barely know. That's brave, Nathan." "That's not brave. That's me trying to outrun ghosts." "Maybe. Or maybe it's you remembering you're human." They stood close. Grace could see the pain in his eyes, the guilt he carried like stones in his pockets. She knew that weight. She carried her own. "Nathan, I need to know something." "What?" "When the 10 days are up, what happens?" "You pay me $400. I extend the note. And then you leave." It wasn't a question. That was the plan. Nathan's hand came up, almost touched her face, then fell. "I don't know anymore, Grace. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. All I know is when I think about riding away from here, leaving you and those kids." "What?" "It feels wrong, like I'd be abandoning something important, something I didn't know I needed until I found it." Grace's breath caught. "You can't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because I'm trying really hard not to care about you, and you're making it damn near impossible." Nathan's laugh was soft, surprised. "You're trying not to care about me?" "Yes." "How's that working out?" "Terribly." They were so close now. Grace could feel his breath, see the way his eyes dropped to her mouth. "Grace." A gunshot shattered the moment. Both of them ran outside. Toby stood near the tree line, rifle raised. Rider approaching, fast. Grace's blood turned to ice. "Virgil." "Can't tell yet." Nathan moved in front of Grace, his hand on his pistol. The other ranch hands materialized from the shadows, armed and ready. The rider burst into the clearing. Not Virgil. Dr. Chen. She dismounted quickly. "Mr. Merrick, Mrs. Sullivan, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Nathan asked. "Virgil Cain's in town. He's got Deputy Cain's ear. They're talking about bringing charges against you both." Grace felt the ground shift. "Charges for what?" "Improper cohabitation. They're saying Mr. Merrick's been living here, that there's been—" Dr. Chen paused delicately. "Impropriety. They want to take the children." The words hit Grace like bullets. No, they can't. They can and they will unless we act fast." Dr. Chen's face was grim. "Deputy Cain's ambitious. Virgil's offering him political support if he pursues this. They'll use the fire as evidence that you can't protect the children. They'll claim Mr. Merrick's presence is scandalous. They'll take every truth and twist it until it looks like something ugly. Nathan swore viciously. How long do we have? Cain's filing papers in the morning. Could be here by afternoon with legal authority to remove the children pending an investigation. Grace couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. They were going to take her babies. Put them in an orphanage or with some respectable family while they investigated. And investigations could take months. Years. No, she heard herself say. No, I won't let them. Grace? Nathan started. I'll run. I'll take the children and disappear. Go to California, Oregon, somewhere they can't find us. You've got no money, no wagon, no supplies. You'd never make it past the territory line. Then what do I do, Nathan, tell me? He looked at her for a long moment, then at Dr. Chen, then back to Grace. There's one way to stop this. What? We get married, tonight. The world stopped spinning. What? If we're married, there's no scandal, no impropriety, just a man helping his wife with her farm, just a husband protecting his family. Nathan's voice was urgent. Cain can't take the children from a married couple with means. And I've got means, Grace. Money, land, reputation. We get married tonight, file the papers in the morning, and by the time Cain shows up, he's got no case. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. Grace's mind raced. Nathan, you don't want to marry me. This is just you're trying to fix a problem. Yeah, I'm trying to fix a problem. I'm trying to keep your children safe. Isn't that what you want? Not like this. Not as some kind of business arrangement. Why not marriages have been based on less? At least we like each other. At least we... He stopped. At least we what? Nathan's eyes burned into hers. At least we care. I care about you, Grace. About those kids. Maybe it's too fast. Maybe it's crazy. But caring about someone really caring, that's more than most married people can say. Dr. Chen cleared her throat. I hate to interrupt, but time's running out. If you're going to do this, you need to do it now. Tonight. I can ride to Reverend Blackwood's place, bring him here. He'll marry you. I'll witness. We file papers first thing in the morning. Grace looked at the house, at her children sleeping inside, at the burned barn and scattered chickens and the weight of impossible choices. She looked at Nathan, at the man who'd threatened her farm 3 days ago, who'd stayed to help, who'd run into fire to save her son, who looked at her like she mattered. If I say yes, Grace said slowly, I need to know this isn't just about the debt, isn't just about protecting your investment. It's not. Then what is it about? Nathan stepped closer, took her hands in his. His thumb brushed over her bloodied knuckles. It's about me being tired of running from anything good in my life. It's about me looking at you and seeing strength I'd forgotten existed. It's about those kids in there who deserve better than the hand they've been dealt. And yeah, maybe it's too fast. Maybe we barely know each other. But Grace, I know enough. I know you're brave and stubborn, and you'd fight the devil himself for your children. I know you make me want to be better than I am. And I know that if I ride away from here in 7 days, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Tears streamed down Grace's face. You can't promise you won't regret this. You can't promise it'll work. No, I can't. All I can promise is I'll try. Every day I'll try to be the man you and those kids deserve. That's all I got, Grace. She looked at Dr. Chen, who waited patiently, at Toby, who'd moved closer to hear, at the ranch hands standing guard. She thought about Jacob, about the promises he'd made and broken, about trust and risk, and the terrifying possibility of hope. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Okay. I'll marry you. Nathan's face transformed. Relief and something deeper. Something that made Grace's heart skip. You're sure? No, I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of losing my children. Then we do this. Nathan turned to Dr. Chen. How fast can you get the Reverend? 2 hours, maybe less if I ride hard. Do it. Dr. Chen nodded and mounted her horse. Within seconds, she'd disappeared into the darkness. Grace stood there shaking. What had she just agreed to marriage? To a man she'd known less than a week. To a man who'd come to take everything from her. To a man who was now giving her everything instead. Grace. She looked up. Nathan's face was serious. I need you to understand something. This marriage, it can be whatever you need it to be. If you want it to be just a legal arrangement protection for you and the kids, that's fine. I'll respect that. I'll give you your own room, your own space. No expectations beyond keeping your children safe. And if I want more? The question hung between them. Then we figure it out, Nathan said quietly. Together. But no pressure, no demands. You've been through enough, Grace. I won't add to that. She nodded, not trusting her voice. Toby approached. Boss, I'll wake the Reverend when Dr. Chen gets there. Explain the situation. He's a good man. He'll understand. Thanks, Toby. And boss, for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. After Toby left, Grace turned to Nathan. I should wake the children. Tell them. You want me to come with you? Yeah, I think I do. Inside the house, Grace lit a lamp and gently woke Clara. Then Ben. The twins stirred. Sam slept on. Mama, Clara rubbed her eyes. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, baby, but I need to tell you something. You all. It's important. Ben sat up, his stutter worse with sleepiness. Is Mr. Cain coming? No, but there are men who want to take you away from me. They think I can't take care of you properly. Clara's face went white. They can't do that. They can. Unless... Grace took a breath. Unless Mr. Merrick and I get married. Tonight. Silence. Then Lily spoke. The first full sentence she'd said in 2 months. You're marrying Mr. Nathan? Grace's eyes filled with tears. Yes, baby, if that's okay with you. Will he be our papa? Grace looked at Nathan, who'd stayed near the door. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes were soft. If you want him to be. Silent Rose climbed out of bed and walked to Nathan. She looked up at him with solemn eyes, then held up her arms. Nathan froze. Grace saw panic flash across his face. He'd faced artillery and outlaws, but a 4-year-old child asking to be held had him terrified. It's okay, Grace said softly. She wants you to pick her up. Carefully, like handling something infinitely precious, Nathan lifted Rose. She wrapped her arms around his neck and laid her head on his shoulder. Papa, she whispered. Nathan's eyes closed. His arms tightened around the little girl. Clara spoke next. Will you protect us from Mr. Cain and the other bad men? Yes, Nathan said, his voice rough. I'll protect you. I promise. Even when you're mad at Mama. Even when things get hard. Especially then. Ben looked at his mother. Do you love him? Grace's breath caught. Out of the mouths of children came the questions adults danced around. I care about him very much, she said carefully. And he cares about us. Sometimes that's where love starts. Okay. Ben nodded. Then I think it's good. You shouldn't be alone, Mama. It makes you sad. Grace pulled her son close, overwhelmed by his perception. 6 years old, and he'd seen too much, understood too much. Lily climbed into Nathan's lap beside Rose. Will you read us stories, if you want? Will you teach Ben to not be scared? I'll try. Will you make Mama smile more? Nathan looked at Grace. That's the plan. Clara, always practical, asked the real question. Will we have enough food now? I heard Mama crying last night because we're almost out. Nathan set the girls down and knelt so he was eye level with Clara. You'll never go hungry again. I promise you that. Whatever else happens, you and your sisters and brother will always have food, always have a home, always be safe. That's what family means. And you're my family now." Clara studied his face. Then slowly she nodded. "Okay, but if you hurt Mama, I'll find your biggest horse and let it loose." Nathan's mouth twitched. "That's fair. And if you make her cry, I'll put spiders in your boots. Also fair. And if you leave," Clara's voice broke, "if you leave like Papa did, I'll hate you forever." Nathan took Clara's hand. "Your Papa didn't leave on purpose, Clara. He made mistakes, but he loved you. And I'm not going anywhere. When I make a promise, I keep it. You can ask Toby or any of the hands. I've never broken my word, and I'm giving you my word now. I'm staying." Clara threw her arms around Nathan's neck and burst into tears. He held her looking helpless, while Grace's heart shattered and rebuilt itself all at once. This man, this complicated, wounded man who'd come to take her farm, was now holding her broken daughter and promising forever. Outside horses approached. Dr. Chen's voice called out, "The Reverend's here!" Grace and Nathan looked at each other. "Last chance," he said quietly. "If you want to back out." "Do you, Bo?" "No." "Then neither do I." They walked outside together. Reverend Josiah Blackwood stood by Dr. Chen's horse. He was maybe 60, with a weathered face and kind eyes that had seen every kind of human struggle. "Mrs. Sullivan, Mr. Merrick," Dr. Chen explained the situation. "I know it's irregular," Grace started. "Irregular." The Reverend's smile was gentle. "I once married a couple while they were being chased by a prairie fire. Another time I married 2 people in a jail cell because the groom was being hanged at dawn. This barely registers as unusual." Despite everything, Grace laughed. Reverend Blackwood became serious. "But I need to know this isn't being done under pure duress. Marriage is sacred. Even marriages born of necessity should have some foundation of respect and care." "We care about each other," Nathan said. "And we both want what's best for her children. That's foundation enough." "Mrs. Sullivan, do you agree?" Grace looked at Nathan, at the man who'd become something she hadn't dared hope for. Protection, yes. But also partnership. Possibility. "Yes," she said. "I agree." "Then let's begin." The ceremony was simple. No fancy clothes, no flowers, no guests beyond Dr. Chen Toby and the ranch hands who stood witness. Just Grace in her work dress, and Nathan in his dusty shirt standing under Wyoming stars, while a frontier preacher spoke words that would bind them. "Do you, Nathan Merrick, take Grace Sullivan to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do." "Do you, Grace Sullivan, take Nathan Merrick to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" Grace's voice shook. "I do." "By the power vested in me by the territory of Wyoming, I pronounce you husband and wife. Mr. Merrick, you may kiss your bride." Nathan looked at Grace, asking permission. She nodded slightly. His kiss was gentle, careful, a promise more than a claim. When they pulled apart, Clara was crying. Ben was smiling. The twins were dancing. Even baby Sam had woken and was making happy noises. "Congratulations," Dr. Chen said. "I'll file the papers first thing in the morning. By noon you'll be legally married in every way that matters." "Thank you," Grace whispered, "for everything. Thank me by being happy. That's payment enough." The Reverend left. Dr. Chen left. The ranch hands drifted back to their posts. Toby clapped Nathan on the shoulder and murmured something that made Nathan nod. Finally, Grace and Nathan stood alone with the children. "Well," Nathan said, "I suppose we should sleep," Grace finished. "Yes, it's late." They got the children back to bed. This time the kids settled quickly, secure in the knowledge that someone strong was protecting them. Grace and Nathan stood in the main room, suddenly awkward. "I'll sleep out by the creek," Nathan said. "Like I have been. You're my husband now. You can sleep inside." "Grace, I don't want you to feel... I know what you said earlier, about this being whatever I need it to be, and I appreciate that. But Nathan, we're married now, really married. And these walls are thin. The children will notice if you're still outside. They'll worry, think something's wrong." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you should sleep inside. On the floor if you want, but inside." Nathan nodded slowly. "I'll get my bedroll." While he was gone, Grace changed into her nightgown. Her hands shook. She was married, again, to a man she barely knew, a man who was now legally her husband, who had rights, who could Grace. She turned. Nathan stood in the doorway with his bedroll carefully, not looking at her. "I want you to know something. What I said before about no expectations, I meant it. I don't care what the law says or what rights I technically have. This is your home, your body, your choice, always. Understand?" The knot in Grace's chest loosened slightly. "I understand." "Good." He spread his bedroll on the floor. Grace climbed into her bed, their bed, and blew out the lamp. Darkness settled. Grace listened to Nathan's breathing, steady, calm. She thought about the day, about fire and proposals and a wedding under stars, about 5 children who'd called this man Papa within hours of meeting him properly. "Nathan." "Yeah. Thank you for everything." "You don't need to thank me." "I do, though. You saved us today, in more ways than one." Silence. Then, "You saved me too, Grace." "How?" "You reminded me why any of this matters. Money, land, reputation. It's all meaningless if you got nobody to share it with, nobody to protect, nobody to come home to." Grace's throat tightened. "Is that what we are home?" "Yeah," Nathan said softly. "I think you are." Grace closed her eyes, letting the words settle into her bones. Tomorrow would bring Deputy Cain and legal papers and whatever else Virgil Cain had planned. But tonight, her children slept safely. Tonight, she had a husband who'd proven his worth in fire and promises. Tonight, hope felt almost possible. "Good night, Nathan." "Good night, Mrs. Merrick." Mrs. Merrick. The name sounded strange, foreign, but not wrong. Grace fell asleep listening to her husband breathe, wondering if she'd just made the best decision of her life, or the worst. Only time would tell. Morning came with pounding on the door. Grace jolted awake to find Nathan already on his feet, gun drawn. The children stirred in their beds. "Stay here," he ordered. Through the window, Grace saw Deputy Cain with 4 men. Her blood ran cold. Nathan opened the door slowly. "Deputy. Mr. Merrick, I'm here on official business regarding the welfare of the minor children in this household." "Is that so?" Cain pulled out papers. "I have authority from Sheriff Watson to investigate claims of improper—" "You're too late." Cain blinked. "Excuse me. You're too late. Mrs. Sullivan and I were married last night. Reverend Blackwood officiated. Dr. Chen and Toby Gray witnessed. Papers are being filed in town this morning." The deputy's face flushed red. "That's mighty convenient timing." "Convenient or not, it's legal. This is my wife. These are my stepchildren. And you're trespassing on my property without cause." "Your property?" "Did I stutter? My wife's land is my land now. That's how marriage works, Deputy. Now, unless you got actual evidence of wrongdoing, I suggest you get back on your horse and ride back to town before I file a complaint with the territorial marshal about harassment." Cain's jaw worked furiously. Behind him, one of his men shifted nervously. Nobody wanted trouble with Nathan Merrick. "Virgil Cain says..." "I don't give a damn what Virgil Cain says. Virgil Cain's a murderer who killed this woman's husband in cold blood. You want to investigate something, Deputy, investigate that." That was ruled a fair fight. By who you convenient seeing as Virgil's your cousin. Cain's hand moved toward his gun. Nathan's was faster. Not drawing, just resting on the grip. A warning. Don't, Nathan said quietly. Don't make that mistake. For a long moment, the two men stared at each other. Then Cain stepped back. This ain't over, Merrick. Yeah, it is. Go back to town. Tell Virgil he lost. Tell him if he comes near my family again, I'll put him in the ground next to Jacob Sullivan. Cain and his men rode away. Nathan stood in the doorway until they were out of sight, then closed the door and leaned against it. Nathan. He looked at Grace. His hands were shaking. I thought I was past this. The war, the killing. I swore I'd never threaten a man's life again. Grace crossed to him. You protected your family. That's different. Is it? Yes. He looked at her with haunted eyes. What if I'm not the man you think I am? What if I'm just good at pretending? You ran into a burning building for my son. You married me to keep my children safe. You're standing here shaking because you had to threaten violence. Those aren't the actions of a bad man, Nathan. Eleanor said. Eleanor was wrong. About everything. Nathan pulled her close suddenly, desperately. Grace let him hold her, felt his heart hammering against her chest. I can't lose you, he whispered. Any of you. I know we just met. I know this is crazy. But Grace, I can't. Shh. You won't lose us. We're yours now. For better or worse, remember. He nodded against her hair. Behind them, Clara cleared her throat. Is the deputy gone? He's gone, Nathan said, releasing Grace and turning. You're all safe. Because you married Mama. Yes. Clara studied him. Good. Now can we have breakfast? I'm starving. Despite everything, Grace laughed. Leave it to a 10-year-old to bring things back to practical matters. She made cornmeal mush with the last of their supplies. Nathan watched her work, his expression thoughtful. After breakfast, I'm riding to my ranch, bringing back supplies, real food, and I'm moving some of my things here. Your things. If we're married, I should act married. That means living here, with you and the kids. Grace's hand stilled on the pot. Nathan, you don't have to. I want to. Besides, if Cain comes back, he needs to see this is real. Separate residences would look suspicious. He was right, but Grace's stomach still twisted with nerves. Having Nathan here every day, every night, living as husband and wife. Okay, she said. But we need to talk about rules, expectations. Tonight, after the kids are asleep. The morning passed in a blur of activity. Nathan rode to his ranch while Grace and the children worked on salvaging what they could from the burned barn. Pete and Marcus arrived to continue the wheat harvest. The work was endless, but having help made it bearable. Around noon, Toby appeared with the marriage certificate officially filed. You're legal now, he said, handing the paper to Grace. Mrs. Grace Merrick. Grace stared at her new name. It looked foreign. Final. Thank you, Toby. Boss is bringing supplies. Should be back before sundown. Toby paused. Ma'am, can I say something? Of course. I've known Nathan 7 years. Watched him turn into someone I barely recognized after Eleanor. Cold, distant, mean sometimes. But these past few days working here with you and your young'uns, I've seen glimpses of who he used to be. The man who'd give you his last dollar, who'd ride through a storm to help a neighbor, who laughed and believed in second chances. Toby's weathered face softened. What I'm saying is, you're good for him, and I think he's good for you. Don't let folks like Virgil Cain poison that. Don't let fear win. Grace's throat tightened. What if we're moving too fast? What if this is a mistake? Might be, but standing still when you should be moving forward, that's a bigger mistake. And ma'am, life out here is hard and short. When you find something good, something real, you hold on tight. You don't waste time worrying if it's too soon or too fast. You just hold on. He tipped his hat and walked away, leaving Grace with his words echoing in her mind. Nathan returned as promised with 2 wagons full of supplies: flour, salt, pork, eggs, milk, fresh vegetables, even candy for the children. Grace watched him unload it, all overwhelmed. This is too much. It's not enough, but it's a start. Clara and Ben helped carry things inside. The twins discovered the candy and squealed with delight. Even Rose smiled, a rare and precious thing. "Papa Nathan," Lily said, tugging his sleeve, "can we have candy before supper?" Nathan looked helplessly at Grace. "Can they? 1 piece each." The children cheered. Nathan handed out peppermint sticks, his movements careful, like he was afraid of doing it wrong. "You're good with them," Grace observed. "I'm terrified of them." "Could have fooled me." "That's because you're not inside my head. Inside my head, I'm convinced I'm going to break them somehow. Say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, be like my father instead of my mother. Your father was bad. My father was mean when he drank, which was often. He'd hit my mother, us kids. Then the war took him, and Mama said it was God's mercy." Nathan's voice was flat. "I swore I'd never be like him, never raise a hand in anger, never let drink control me, never hurt someone weaker. And you haven't." "Haven't I? I came here to take your land, threatened to throw you and your children out. That's a kind of violence too, Grace. But you didn't go through with it. Because you stopped me. Because Clara and Ben and the twins made me see what I was doing. But what if you hadn't? What if I'd just taken everything and ridden away?" Grace touched his arm. "But you didn't. That's what matters. Not what you might have done. What you actually did." He looked at her hand on his arm. "How are you so sure about me when I'm not sure about myself? Because I've seen you with my children. I've watched you work yourself to exhaustion for people you barely know. I've felt how gentle you are, even when you're trying to be hard." Grace paused. "And because someone who's truly bad doesn't question whether they're good, they just assume they are." Nathan captured her hand, held it. "What did I do to deserve you? You showed up when I needed you. I showed up to collect a debt. And stayed for something better." They stood like that, hands joined, until Ben called that supper was ready. That night, after the children were asleep, Grace and Nathan sat at the kitchen table. A single candle burned between them. "We should talk," Grace said. "Yeah. About what this marriage is. What we expect from each other." Nathan nodded. "You first." Grace gathered her courage. "I need you to understand something. Jacob, he wasn't always bad. But when he drank, he'd get mean. Never hit me, but the words—" Her voice cracked. "Words can hurt worse than fists sometimes. He'd tell me I was worthless, that I trapped him with children, that he regretted marrying me." "Grace, I need to say this. When he died, part of me was relieved, and I've carried that guilt every day since. What kind of wife feels relief when her husband dies?" "The kind who was being hurt," Nathan said firmly. "Grace, you don't have to defend yourself to me. Jacob was a drunk who made you feel small. You got every right to feel however you feel about that. I'm telling you this because I need you to know I can't do that again. I can't be with someone who makes me feel worthless, who uses words like weapons. If that's who you are when things get hard, it's not." Nathan's voice was intense. "Grace, I swear to you I will never speak to you that way, never belittle you, never make you feel less than the incredible woman you are. And if I do, if I slip up and say something cruel, you call me on it. You don't let it slide. You don't make excuses. You tell me straight out, and I'll fix it. You can promise that. I can promise to try, and I can promise that words matter to me. My father's words cut deep. I know the damage they do. I won't inflict that on you or those kids, not ever." Grace nodded slowly. "Okay, your turn. What do you need from me?" Nathan was quiet for a long moment. "I need you to be honest with me. About everything. If you're scared, tell me. If you're angry, tell me. If I'm pushing too hard or not enough, tell me. I can handle a lot of things, Grace, but I can't handle dishonesty. Not after Eleanor. I can do that. And I need you to know this marriage, it's real to me. I know we started for practical reasons, but I don't want it to stay that way. I want us to build something true, something lasting. But only if you want that too. If you want this to be a partnership in name only, I'll respect that. But I need to know. Grace's heart pounded. What if I don't know yet? What if I need time to figure out what I want? Then take the time. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Promise. They sat in comfortable silence until Grace asked, "What do we tell people?" "In town, I mean. They'll have questions." "We tell them the truth, that we got married, that I'm taking care of you and the children. If they don't like it, that's their problem. Virgil won't let this go." "No, he won't." Nathan's expression hardened. "Which is why tomorrow I'm riding into town. Having a conversation with Virgil that he won't forget." "Nathan, no. He's dangerous." "So am I when someone threatens my family." "Please, don't do anything that'll get you killed. I just got you. I'm not ready to lose you." The words hung between them. Grace hadn't meant to say them quite that way, hadn't meant to reveal so much. But there they were. Nathan's hand covered hers on the table. "I'm not going to die. I'm just going to make some things clear. Virgil needs to understand that you're under my protection now, that touching you or these kids means going through me, and nobody in Wyoming territory is stupid enough to go through me." "You sound very sure of that." "I am. I've got money, men, and reputation. Virgil's got bluster, and his cousin wearing a deputy's badge. It's not even a fair fight." "Fair fights are what got Jacob killed." "I'm not Jacob." Nathan's voice was steel. "And I don't lose." Grace wanted to argue, wanted to make him promise not to confront Virgil. But she also knew that look in his eyes. She'd seen it when he faced down Deputy Cain. This was Nathan Merrick, the rancher, the war veteran, the man who'd built an empire. And that man didn't back down. "Just come back," she whispered. "Whatever happens, come back." Always. He pulled her to her feet. For a moment they stood close, his hands on her arms, her face tilted up to his. "Grace, can I?" "Yes." He kissed her. Different from the wedding kiss. Deeper, more certain. Like he was claiming something precious. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I should..." Nathan gestured vaguely toward his bedroll. "Stay." "Grace?" "Not like that. Just stay close. I don't want to be alone tonight." Nathan nodded. They climbed into bed together, careful to leave space between them. But sometime in the night, that space disappeared. Grace woke to find herself curled against Nathan's chest, his arm around her waist, both of them tangled together, like they'd been sleeping this way for years instead of one night. She didn't move. Didn't want to break the spell. For the first time in 76 days, Grace felt safe. Morning shattered that peace. Gunfire erupted outside. Nathan was up instantly, gun in hand. Grace ran to the window, and her blood froze. Virgil Cain stood in her yard with 6 armed men. Behind them, smoke rose from the wheat field. "No," Grace breathed. "No, no, no." Nathan was already outside. Grace grabbed the rifle and followed. Virgil grinned when he saw them. "Morning, Merrick. Congratulations on the wedding. Heard you married yourself a widow. How romantic." "Get off my property, Virgil." "Your property?" Virgil's laugh was ugly. "See, that's where we got a problem. This land borders mine. I've had my eye on it for years. Jacob promised to sell before he died. I got witnesses. Witnesses or liars. Same thing in this territory." Virgil's smile widened. "And now your wheat's burning. Shame that." Must have been those Mexican workers careless with their cigarettes. Course, without the wheat, your wife can't pay the debt. And without payment, the land reverts to you. Then you sell to me. I'll burn in hell first. That can be arranged. Nathan's gun cleared leather. So did Virgil's. For a frozen moment, everyone held their breath. Then a new voice cut through the tension. Put the guns down, all of you. Judge Margaret Walsh rode into the yard with Sheriff Watson and 6 deputies. Grace nearly collapsed with relief. Judge Walsh, Virgil said, holstering his weapon with obvious reluctance. This is a private matter. Murder's not a private matter, Mr. Cain. And I have 3 witnesses who will testify you set that fire. That's arson. That's attempted murder. That's a hanging offense. Virgil's face went white. You got no proof? I got better than proof. I got Tom Pritchard, Martha Henderson, and Dr. Chen, all of whom saw your men near the Sullivan, Merrick property last night with torches. That's conspiracy to commit arson at minimum. Sheriff Watson moved forward. Virgil Cain, you're under arrest. This is horseshit. You can't. I can, and I am. Boys, take him. 2 deputies grabbed Virgil. He fought screaming threats. Grace watched with grim satisfaction as they dragged him toward a wagon. You'll pay for this, Merrick, all of you. I got friends I got. You got a cell waiting in Laramie, Judge Walsh said calmly. And a trial date next month. Sheriff, make sure he gets there safely. After they took Virgil away, Judge Walsh dismounted and approached Grace and Nathan. Mrs. Merrick. Mr. Merrick, I apologize for not intervening sooner. I was gathering evidence. Wanted to make sure the charges would stick. How did you know? Grace asked. Dr. Chen came to me 3 days ago. Said Virgil was escalating. Said she feared for your safety. So I started asking questions. Turns out Virgil's made a lot of enemies. People were eager to talk once they knew he couldn't retaliate. Judge Walsh's expression softened. I also heard about your marriage. Congratulations. I hope you'll be very happy together. Thank you, Nathan said. But Judge, the wheat is mostly saved. The fire only got about a 1/4 acre before my men put it out. The rest is fine. You'll still have enough for harvest. Grace felt tears of relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank Dr. Chen. She's the one who organized the whole thing. Speaking of which, Judge Walsh smiled. She's waiting in town with the Reverend and half the congregation. They want to throw you a proper wedding celebration, since your actual wedding was so rushed. That's not necessary, Grace protested. Maybe not, but it's happening anyway. These people want to show their support. Let them. After the judge left, Grace and Nathan stood surveying the damage. The wheat field was scorched, but salvageable. The real damage was to Grace's sense of security. He'll come back, she said. After the trial, if they don't hang him, he'll come back. They'll hang him. Arson with intent to kill is a capital crime in Wyoming territory. And if they don't, Nathan pulled her close. Then I'll deal with it. But Grace, Virgil made a mistake. He went after my family. There's no coming back from that. Even if the law doesn't hang him, there are other ways to handle men like Virgil Cain. Don't talk like that. I'm just saying, I know what you're saying, and I'm telling you I didn't marry you so you could become a killer. I married you so my children would have a father, so I'd have a partner. Don't throw that away for revenge. Nathan's jaw clenched, but he nodded. You're right. I'm sorry. They worked all day salvaging the wheat. The children helped even the twins. By evening, they'd cut and bundled everything that survived. Pete did the calculations. Still got about 3 acres worth. At current prices, that's maybe $350. Grace's heart sank. That's not enough. It's close enough, Nathan said. And I'm forgiving the rest of the debt. Nathan. Grace. We're married. Your debts are my debts. And I don't charge interest to family. The debt's forgiven. End of discussion. He walked away before she could argue. Clara appeared at Grace's elbow. Mama, is Papa Nathan always this stubborn? Apparently. Good. You're stubborn too. You match. Grace looked at her daughter. You really like him, don't you? He makes you smile. You haven't smiled since Papa Jacob died. So yeah, I like him. That night the town threw them a celebration. Grace dressed in her best dress, which wasn't saying much, but when she emerged from the bedroom, Nathan looked at her like she was wearing diamonds. You're beautiful. I'm wearing a patched dress that's 3 years old. You're still beautiful. They rode into town together, children in the back of the wagon. The church was full. Martha Henderson had organized a meal. Reverend Blackwood said a blessing. Tom Pritchard made a speech about second chances. Grace stood there overwhelmed by the support. These people, most of whom she barely knew, had rallied around her, had protected her from Virgil, had celebrated her marriage. Speech, someone called. Nathan shook his head, but Grace squeezed his hand. Say something. He stood reluctantly. I'm not good with words, but I want to thank everyone who helped today, who stood up to Virgil Cain, who showed my wife and her children that this community takes care of its own. He paused. A week ago, I rode to Grace's farm to collect a debt. I expected to foreclose and move on. Instead, I found a woman who wouldn't quit, who'd bleed herself dry before she'd let her children go hungry, who taught me that real strength isn't about being hard, it's about being strong enough to stay soft in a hard world. His voice grew rough. I don't deserve Grace, don't deserve those kids, but I'm gonna spend every day trying to earn them. And if anyone ever threatens my family again, they'll learn why you don't cross a Merrick. The crowd cheered. Nathan sat down quickly, uncomfortable with the attention. Grace kissed his cheek. That was perfect. That was terrifying. You're good at terrifying. They danced. Nathan was stiff and awkward, but Grace didn't care. She was in her husband's arms, her children were safe, and Virgil Cain was in a jail cell. For the first time in months, maybe years, Grace let herself believe in happiness. But happiness, she'd learned, was fragile, and the night was far from over. They were loading the children into the wagon when Deputy Cain appeared. Mr. Merrick, Mrs. Merrick, got a problem. Nathan's hand moved toward his gun. What kind of problem? Virgil escaped, killed 2 deputies. He's headed this way. Grace's world tilted. How long ago? Nathan's voice was ice. 30 minutes. Maybe less. He's got a horse, weapons, and nothing to lose. Cain's face was grim. Sheriff Watson's forming a posse, but Virgil knows these hills better than anyone. He could be anywhere. Nathan turned to Grace. Get the children, now. Grace didn't argue. She ran to where Clara was helping the twins with their coats. We're leaving, right now. Mama, what's wrong? Just get in the wagon, all of you. Ben's stutter came back full force. Is Mr. Cain coming? Not if I can help it, Nathan said behind her. He was already loading rifles, checking ammunition. Toby, Marcus, Pete. The 3 men materialized instantly. They'd been waiting. Grace realized. They'd known something like this might happen. We're taking the family to my ranch, Nathan said. You 3 ride ahead. Scout the route. Anyone who's not supposed to be there, you handle it. Yes, boss. They were gone in seconds. Nathan helped Grace and the children into the wagon. His movements were quick, efficient, military. This was the war veteran now, not the uncertain husband. Nathan! Not now. Get down, all of you. Stay low. Grace pulled the children down, covered them with blankets. Baby Sam started to cry, but she muffled the sound against her shoulder. Nathan drove the wagon hard. Too hard. They bounced over ruts, barely staying on the road. Behind them, Grace heard more riders. She risked a look back. Judge Walsh and a dozen townsmen, all armed. You got protection, the judge called. We're seeing you home safe. The ride to Nathan's ranch took an hour that felt like 10 years. Every shadow could be Virgil. Every sound could be gunfire. Grace held her children close and prayed harder than she'd ever prayed. They reached the ranch without incident. Nathan's house was bigger than Grace expected. 2 stories wrap-around porch built solid like a fortress. Inside, fast. Nathan practically carried the children through the door. Grace followed, her legs shaking so badly she could barely walk. The interior was sparse but clean. Large fireplace, wooden furniture, nothing fancy. A bachelor's house, but safe, strong. Clara, take your brothers and sisters upstairs. Second door on the right. Don't come out unless I or your mama tell you to. Clara nodded, already hurting the younger ones. Ben was crying silently. The twins clung to each other. Even baby Sam seemed to sense the danger, his little fists clenched tight. After they disappeared upstairs, Nathan turned to Grace. I need you to listen carefully. There's a root cellar beneath the kitchen. Trap door under that rug. If Virgil gets past us, you take those kids down there, and you don't come out. Not for anything. Understand? Nathan. Do you understand? Yes. He pulled her close suddenly, fiercely. I'm not losing you. I just found you. I'm not losing you. Then don't die. I don't plan to. He kissed her hard, then released her and went to the window. Outside, Toby was posting guards. The townsmen were taking positions around the property. Judge Walsh stood on the porch, rifle in hand. He's coming, Nathan said quietly. I can feel it. How do you know? Because that's what I'd do. Strike while everyone's distracted, while we think we're safe. He checked his guns. Virgil's not smart, but he's cunning. Like a wolf, and wolves are most dangerous when they're cornered. Grace wanted to argue, wanted to say they should run, keep running until they were so far away, Virgil could never find them. But she knew better. Running wouldn't stop a man like Virgil. Only standing would. An hour passed. Then 2. The children fell asleep upstairs despite the tension. Grace sat at the kitchen table, rifle across her lap, jumping at every sound. Nathan paced, back and forth, never still, checking windows, checking weapons, checking guards. The war had taught him to wait, but Grace could see it eating at him. Tell me about Eleanor, Grace said suddenly. Nathan stopped pacing. What? Tell me about her. I should know who she was. What she did to you. He sat across from her, his face unreadable in the lamplight. Why now? Because if Virgil kills us tonight, I want to know everything. I want to understand why you're the way you are. Why you came to collect that debt. Why you stayed. Nathan was quiet for so long, Grace thought he wouldn't answer. Then he started talking. Eleanor was beautiful, educated. Her father was a senator. I met her at a territorial ball in Cheyenne. I was nobody then, just a rancher trying to make something of himself. But she smiled at me, and I was lost. His voice was flat, emotionless, like he was talking about someone else's life. We courted for 2 years. I built this house for her, filled it with everything I thought she wanted, spent money I didn't have trying to be worthy of her, and the whole time she was playing me. How did you find out? I came home early from a cattle drive, found her in my study with State Representative Thomas Garrett. They were planning to use my money, my land, my connections to fund his political campaign. She'd been stealing from my accounts for months. $20,000 gone. Grace gasped. Nathan, that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what she said when I confronted her. She laughed. Said I was a fool if I thought she'd ever really loved me. Said I was just a means to an end. A rich rancher too stupid to see he was being used. His hands clenched into fists. I tracked them to Denver, got my money back. But I couldn't get back what she stole from me inside. Trust, hope, the belief that people could be good. She took all of that and burned it. So you came back here and built walls. Yeah, walls nobody could climb. I swore I'd never let anyone close again. Never let anyone have the power to hurt me. And it worked. I was safe. miserable but safe. He looked at Grace. Then I met you. And those walls started crumbling. And I'm terrified, Grace. I'm absolutely terrified that I'm making the same mistake, that I'm trusting someone I shouldn't, that this will end the same way. Grace reached across the table, took his hand. I'm not Eleanor. I know. Do you? Because sometimes I see you looking at me like you're waiting for me to betray you, like you're expecting me to take everything and run. I'm trying not to. Try harder. Grace's voice was fierce. I married you, Nathan. I gave you my children's safety, their future. I don't do that lightly. When I make a promise, I keep it. Even when it's hard. Even when I'm scared. I keep my promises. Nathan's throat worked. I'm not good at this. Trusting. Believing. Neither am I. Jacob made sure of that. But we're both trying. That's what matters. They sat in silence, hands joined across the table. Outside, wind rattled the windows. Guards called to each other softly. The night stretched on. Then glass shattered upstairs. Nathan was moving before Grace could scream. He took the stairs 3 at a time, gun drawn. Grace grabbed the rifle and followed. The children's door was open. Inside, Virgil Cain held Clara with a knife to her throat. Hello, Merrick. Miss me. Nathan stopped dead. Grace came up behind him, rifle raised, but she couldn't shoot. Not with Clara so close. Let her go, Virgil. Or what, you'll shoot me? Go ahead. But my knife's faster than your bullet. Little girl dies first. Clara was crying silently, trying to be brave. Behind her, the other children huddled in the corner. Ben had his arms around the twins. Baby Sam was mercifully asleep. What do you want? Nathan's voice was deadly calm. What I've always wanted. The Sullivan land. Sign it over to me, and I let the girl go. The land's not mine to give anymore. It's Grace's. Then she signs it over. No, Grace said. Virgil's eyes flicked to her. No. You heard me? No. That land is my children's inheritance. The only thing their father left them besides debt. You killed him. You burned our barn. You tried to kill us. And now you want me to just hand over everything? No. I'd rather die. That can be arranged. So can you dying, Nathan said. You hurt that girl, you're a dead man. You know it. I know it. Every guard outside knows it. You got no way out of here, Virgil. It's over. It's not over until I say it's over. Virgil's hand tightened on the knife. A thin line of blood appeared on Clara's throat. Grace's world narrowed to that red line. Her baby. Her firstborn. The child who'd carried so much weight, who'd been so brave. Stop, Grace heard herself say. I'll sign. Just let her go. Mama, no, Clara gasped. Hush, baby. It's okay. Grace, you can't, Nathan said. I can, and I will. For my daughter, I'll do anything. Virgil smiled. Smart woman. Now get me those papers. Papers are in town, Nathan said. County clerk's office. We'd have to go there. Then we're taking a trip. You, me, the woman, and the girl. Everyone else stays here. My insurance policy. Like hell, Nathan growled. Like heaven, actually. Because if you don't agree, I start cutting. Wonder how many pieces I can take before she dies. Nathan's face went white with rage. Grace had never seen him so close to losing control. His finger was on the trigger, his body coiled to strike. Don't, she whispered. Please, not with Clara so close. The muscle in Nathan's jaw twitched. Fine, we'll go. But Virgil, if you hurt anyone, I will hunt you to the ends of the earth. I will make you beg for death. I will... Yeah. Scary threats. I'm terrified. Virgil yanked Clara toward the door. Come on, we're leaving, now. They went downstairs, a horrible procession. Virgil kept Clara between him and Nathan's gun. Outside, the guards saw what was happening but couldn't act. One wrong move, and Clara died. We're taking Merrick's wagon, Virgil announced. Anyone follows the girl dies. Anyone takes a shot, the girl dies. Everyone understand. Grim nods all around. They climbed into the wagon. Virgil in back with Clara. Nathan driving. Grace beside him, every muscle screaming to do something, anything, but knowing she couldn't risk Clara's life. Drive, Virgil ordered. To town. And Merrick. No tricks. I know every trick in the book. Nathan drove. The night was dark clouds covering the moon. Perfect for an ambush. Perfect for escape. Perfect for murder. Grace's mind raced. There had to be a way out of this. Some way to save Clara without signing over the land. Without giving Virgil everything. "Mama," Clara whispered. "I'm sorry. I should have locked the window. I should have—" "Shh. Not your fault, baby. I'm scared." "I know. So am I." "Will Papa Nathan save us?" Grace looked at Nathan's rigid back, at his white-knuckled grip on the reins. "Yes, he will." She didn't know if it was true, but she needed Clara to believe it. Needed herself to believe it. They were halfway to town when Nathan spoke. "Virgil, you remember Cold Harbor." "What?" "Cold Harbor, Virginia. June 1864. You were there. 3rd Virginia Infantry." Silence. Then, "How'd you know?" "I did my research. After you killed Jacob, after you came after Grace, I looked into your history. Found out you and I were at Cold Harbor. Different sides, but same battle." "So what?" "So I learned something that day. Something important. Want to know what it was?" "Not particularly." Nathan kept talking like Virgil hadn't spoken. "I learned that sometimes the only way to survive is to charge straight into the fire. Everyone else was digging in, hunkering down. But my unit, we charged, straight at the Confederate guns. And you know what? We survived. Because nobody expects a frontal assault. Nobody expects someone to be that crazy." Grace's blood ran cold. She knew what he was saying. Knew what he was planning. "Nathan, don't." He turned the wagon hard. Virgil fell sideways, his knife hand jerking away from Clara's throat. Nathan dove into the back, his full weight slamming into Virgil. "Clara, jump!" Clara jumped. Grace caught her, pulled her close. Behind them, Nathan and Virgil fought viciously. The knife flashed. Blood sprayed. Someone screamed. The wagon tipped. They were thrown clear, hitting hard. Grace rolled, protecting Clara with her body. Pain exploded through her side, but she didn't let go. When she looked up, Nathan had Virgil pinned. The knife was gone. Nathan's hands were around Virgil's throat. "You threatened my family," Nathan said, his voice inhuman. "You put a knife to my daughter's throat." Virgil's face was turning purple. His hands clawed at Nathan's, desperate. "Nathan!" Grace screamed. "Stop! You're killing him. He deserves to die." "Maybe. But not like this. Not with Clara watching. Not with you becoming a murderer." Nathan's hands didn't loosen. He was going to kill her. But he didn't. Because of you. You saved her. Now let him go. Let the law handle this. The law let him escape. Then we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. But Nathan, if you kill him like this, it'll change you. It'll make you into something you're not. Something you don't want to be. Nathan's hands trembled. Virgil's struggles were weakening. Another few seconds and he'd be dead. "Please," Grace whispered. "Please don't do this. Not for him. For us. For Clara. For our family." Something broke in Nathan's face. He released Virgil, who collapsed, gasping. "Grace." "I know. It's okay. I know." Riders approached. The guards had followed despite Virgil's threats. They surrounded the scene, weapons drawn. Toby dismounted quickly. "Boss, you all right?" "No, but I will be." Nathan turned to Clara. "Are you hurt?" Clara ran to him, threw her arms around his waist. You saved me, Papa Nathan. You saved me. Nathan held her, his whole body shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I let him get to you. You came for me. That's what matters. Grace joined them, pulling them both close. The three of them stood there holding each other while Toby and the guards secured Virgil. This time they used chains. This time they didn't take any chances. Deputy Cain arrived with the rest of the posse. He looked at Virgil, then at Nathan. He tried to kill you. He tried to kill my daughter. Then I reckon you got every right to press charges. Kidnapping, attempted murder, assault. Judge Walsh will throw the book at him. Will he actually hang this time? Cain's jaw set. On my honor, he will. Or I'll do it myself. They loaded Virgil into a reinforced wagon. He looked at Nathan with pure hatred. This ain't over. Yeah, it is. You lost Virgil. Accept it. I'll get out again. I'll come back. You'll hang, Nathan interrupted. And I'll be there to watch. To make sure it's done right. To make sure you never threaten my family again. Virgil spat at him. Missed. The guards hauled him away. Grace sagged against Nathan. Is it really over? It's really over. Promise. Promise. They rode back to the ranch in silence. Clara sat between them holding both their hands. She was being brave, but Grace could feel her trembling. Clara, baby, talk to me. I thought I was going to die, Mama. I thought... Her voice broke. I thought you'd have to watch me die and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Grace pulled her daughter close. But you didn't die. Papa Nathan saved you. He said he'd always protect us. He kept his promise. Yeah, Grace whispered. He did. At the ranch, the other children were awake, crying, demanding to know what happened. Nathan gathered them all together and explained in simple terms. The bad man's gone. For good this time. You're safe now. All of you. And I promise I'll never let anyone hurt you again. Even when we're bad? Ben asked. Even then. Protecting you isn't conditional, Ben. It's what family does, no matter what. Rose climbed into Nathan's lap. Silent Rose, who'd barely spoken since Jacob died, looked up at him with solemn eyes. Love you, Papa. Nathan's eyes filled with tears. I love you too, sweetheart. All of you. So much. Lily joined them, then Ben, then Clara. Even baby Sam reached for Nathan. Grace watched her husband surrounded by children, this man who'd been so alone now drowning in family. And he was smiling. Really smiling. The walls were gone. The fear was gone. There was just love and relief and gratitude for second chances. Later, after the children finally slept, Grace and Nathan sat on the porch. Guards still patrolled, but the tension had broken. It was really over. I almost killed him, Nathan said quietly. I know. I wanted to. God help me, Grace, I wanted him dead. But you didn't kill him. That's what matters. Because of you. Because you stopped me. He looked at her. How did you know the right thing to say? I didn't. I just knew I couldn't lose you. Not to murder. Not to becoming someone you'd hate. So I said whatever I could think of to bring you back. Nathan pulled her close. You saved me tonight. In more ways than one. You saved Clara. That makes us even. Grace, I need to tell you something. When Virgil had that knife to Clara's throat when I thought I might lose her, I realized something. What? I love those kids. Not because they're yours. Not because I married you. But because they're mine now. They're my children. And I'd die for them. Kill for them. Whatever it took. Grace's throat tightened. They love you too. Rose spoke today. Really spoke. Do you know how long it's been since she talked? 2 months? How did you? Clara told me. Said Rose stopped talking after watching Jacob die. Said she was scared if she talked someone else would die. But tonight, she spoke. Because she felt safe enough. Because of you. Nathan shook his head. Because of us. Because of family. Because she knows now that she's protected. They sat in comfortable silence until Grace asked, "What happens now?" "Now we live. We finish the wheat harvest. We work the land. We raise our children. We build the life we both deserve." Sounds simple when you say it like that. It won't be simple. There'll be hard days. Days we fight, days we struggle. But we'll do it together. That's the difference. Grace leaned against him. "I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of being happy. Every time I've been happy before something terrible happened. My father died. Then I married Jacob, and he became someone I didn't recognize. Then he died and I was left with nothing. What if happiness is just setting me up for the next disaster?" Nathan turned her to face him. "Or what if happiness is just happiness? What if sometimes good things happen to good people, and that's all it is? No catch, no disaster waiting, just two broken people finding each other and building something beautiful." "You really believe that?" "I'm starting to. You—" Grace thought about her children sleeping safely upstairs, about Virgil in chains finally facing justice, about Nathan beside her solid and certain. "Yeah," she said slowly. "I think I am." He kissed her, then slow and deep and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "Should we tell people?" Grace asked. "About tonight?" "They'll hear soon enough. Small towns, everyone knows everything." "Will they judge us for the violence?" "Some will. Some always do. But the ones who matter, they'll understand. They'll know we did what we had to do to protect our family." Grace nodded. He was right. And for the first time, she didn't care what people thought. She had Nathan. She had her children. She had a future that didn't involve constant fear and scraping by. She had everything that mattered. "Come to bed," she said. "Real bed this time, not the floor." Nathan's eyes widened. "Grace, we're married. Really married. And after tonight, after almost losing everything, I don't want to waste any more time pretending we're anything less than what we are. What are we? Partners in every way." She took his hand. "Unless you're not ready. I'll understand if—" "I'm ready," he interrupted. "I've been ready. I was just trying to be respectful. But Grace, if you're sure—" "I'm sure." They went inside, closing the door on the night and all its terrors. Tomorrow would bring the wheat harvest legal proceedings rebuilding. But tonight was theirs. And for the first time and longer than either could remember, neither Nathan nor Grace went to bed alone, afraid or unloved. They went to bed as husband and wife, as partners, as family, and that made all the difference. Morning came with children's laughter. Grace woke to the sound of Ben teaching the twins a song downstairs. She turned to find Nathan already awake watching her. "How long have you been staring at me?" "Not long enough." She smiled, then winced. Her side where she'd hit the ground last night throbbed. Nathan's face immediately shifted to concern. "You're hurt." "It's nothing." "Let me see." Grace lifted her nightgown enough to reveal a massive bruise blooming across her ribs. Nathan's jaw clenched. "That's not nothing. We're getting Dr. Chen." "Nathan, I'm fine." "You protected Clara with your body. You could have broken ribs, internal bleeding. Grace, you could be seriously hurt and not know it yet." His fear was real raw. Grace touched his face. "I'm okay. Sore, yes, but okay. Promise me if it gets worse, you'll tell me immediately." "I promise." They dressed and went downstairs. The children were already eating breakfast that Toby had somehow produced. Eggs, bacon, fresh bread. Grace's stomach growled. "Mama." Lily ran to her. "Papa Toby made food." "Papa Toby?" Toby grinned from the stove. "They've adopted me. I'm apparently part of the family now." "The more the merrier," Nathan said, but his smile was genuine. After breakfast, Judge Walsh arrived with news. Virgil's been transferred to the territorial prison in Laramie. Triple guard, iron chains. He's not getting out this time. She paused. The trial's set for 3 weeks from now. You'll both need to testify. Grace's stomach clenched. Do the children? Clara will need to testify. She was the victim of kidnapping. But I'll make it as easy on her as possible. Quick questions, gentle approach. She won't have to face Virgil directly. Nathan's hand found Grace's. We'll be there. Whatever it takes to make sure he hangs. After the judge left, Grace found Clara in the barn. She was brushing Nathan's horse, her movements mechanical. Baby, you okay? I keep seeing the knife, feeling it against my throat. Mama, I thought I was going to die. Grace pulled her daughter close. But you didn't. You survived. Because Papa Nathan saved me. But what if he hadn't been fast enough? What if... Clara, you can't live in what-ifs. I know it's scary. God knows I'm scared too. But we're alive. We're safe. And we have to keep living. How do you do it? Keep living after being scared. Grace thought about Jacob's death. About 76 days of barely surviving. About Nathan arriving to take everything and instead giving her everything. You find something worth living for. Someone worth being brave for. And you hold on tight. Is Papa Nathan your something worth living for? He's part of it. But mostly it's you and your brothers and sisters. You're my reason for everything. Clara was quiet for a moment. Mama, can I tell you something? Anything. I'm glad you married Papa Nathan. I know it happened fast. I know people will talk. But he's good to you. He makes you happy. And he really loves us. I can tell. How can you tell? Because when Virgil had the knife on me, Papa Nathan looked like he'd die if I died. Like losing me would break him. That's real love, Mama. Not the kind Papa Jacob had, the real kind. Grace's eyes burned with tears. When did you get so wise? I had to grow up fast. But maybe now I can slow down a little, with Papa Nathan here to help. They held each other in the barn, while horses nickered softly and morning light streamed through the cracks in the walls. The wheat harvest took 3 more days of brutal work. Nathan hired extra hands from town, men who'd stood with them against Virgil, men who'd seen what Grace had survived and wanted to help. Tom Pritchard showed up with his sons. Martha Henderson brought food. Even Deputy Cain came looking chagrined. I owe you an apology, Mrs. Merrick. Mr. Merrick, I was wrong. About everything. Virgil had me convinced you were the problem when he was the rot all along. Nathan accepted the apology with a nod. Grace was less forgiving. You tried to take my children. I know, and I'll regret it the rest of my life. If there's anything I can do to make amends, help harvest the wheat. Work until your hands bleed. Then, maybe we'll talk about forgiveness. Cain nodded and went to work. By the 3rd day, they'd cut, bundled, and loaded every stalk. Tom Pritchard did the final calculations. $375, more than enough to cover the debt. Grace looked at the money, then at Nathan. This is yours. The debt was forgiven the day we married. This money is yours, Grace. For the children. For whatever you need. But, no buts, we're partners now. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. That's how this works. Tom Pritchard grinned. You got yourself a good man, Grace. Don't I know it? That night, exhausted but satisfied, the family gathered for dinner. Nathan had moved his things to Grace's farm, their farm now. The house was crowded with 7 people, but nobody complained. Papa Nathan? Ben said, his stutter almost gone. Can you teach me to ride? Really ride, not just sit on a horse. Sure, son, tomorrow morning. You too, Clara, if you want. Really? Clara's eyes lit up. Girls can learn. Girls can do anything boys can do. Sometimes better. Lily and Rose immediately demanded riding lessons too. Even baby Sam banged his spoon, not wanting to be left out. Grace watched Nathan with their children. Their children now, not just hers, and felt something shift deep in her chest. This was family. Real family. The kind she'd always wanted but never had with Jacob. Later, after the children were asleep, Nathan found Grace on the porch. "You're thinking loud," she laughed. "Is that a thing? With you?" "Yeah. What's on your mind?" Grace took a breath. "I'm pregnant." Nathan froze. "What?" "I'm pregnant. About 2 months along. I wasn't sure until today when Dr. Chen confirmed it. I didn't want to tell you until I was certain." 2 months. That means it's Jacob's. Conceived about a week before he died. Silence. Nathan's face was unreadable. "Say something," Grace whispered. "Are you okay with being pregnant after everything?" "I don't know. I'm scared. Terrified, actually. But also..." She placed a hand on her stomach. "This baby didn't ask to be conceived. Didn't ask for Jacob to die. And it's my child. Our child now. If you'll..." Nathan pulled her into his arms. "If I'll what love it raise it as mine. Grace, of course I will. This baby is part of you. That makes it part of me. Biology doesn't make someone a father. Love does." "You're sure?" "I'm sure. We'll tell the children together. Make sure they understand this is a good thing. A blessing, not a burden." Grace cried against his chest. Relief, fear, hormones, everything tangled together. "I thought you'd be angry. Or feel trapped." "Angry, Grace, you're giving me another child. How could I be angry?" "Jacob was, when I told him about Sam. He said I'd trapped him. That another mouth to feed was the last thing we needed." Nathan's arms tightened. "Jacob was a fool. And I'm not Jacob. I'm your husband, this baby's father in every way that matters, and we're going to be fine. Promise?" "Promise." The trial came 3 weeks later. The whole family rode to Laramie. Clara was nervous but determined. Grace held her hand the entire way. The courtroom was packed. Judge Walsh presided. Virgil sat in chains, his face twisted with hatred. The prosecution called witnesses. Deputy Cain testified about the escape, the murdered guards, the chase. Nathan testified about the kidnapping, about Virgil's threats, about the knife at Clara's throat. Then it was Clara's turn. Grace watched her daughter walk to the witness stand, small and brave. Judge Walsh smiled gently. "Clara, I know this is scary, but you're safe here. Just tell us what happened that night." Clara's voice shook at first, then grew stronger as she described the window breaking. Virgil grabbing her, the knife, the ride to town, Nathan saving her. "He said he'd kill me if Mama didn't sign over the land, but Papa Nathan wouldn't let him. Papa Nathan saved me." "Papa Nathan?" Judge Walsh asked. "Mr. Merrick, my new papa. He's the bravest man I know." Virgil lunged at the witness stand. "You little..." Guards grabbed him. The courtroom erupted. Judge Walsh's gavel cracked like thunder. "Order Mr. Cain one more outburst and you'll be gagged." Virgil subsided, snarling. The defense tried to paint Virgil as desperate, driven to extremes by losing the land he'd wanted. But the evidence was overwhelming. Arson, murder, kidnapping, attempted murder. The jury deliberated for 20 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Judge Walsh looked at Virgil without mercy. "Virgil Cain, you are sentenced to death by hanging, sentenced to be carried out 1 week from today. May God have mercy on your soul, because this court has none." Virgil screamed threats as they dragged him away. Grace held Clara close, both of them shaking. "It's over," Nathan said. "Really over this time." Outside the courthouse, townspeople congratulated them. Martha Henderson embraced Grace. Tom Pritchard shook Nathan's hand. Even Deputy Cain approached. "I'm sorry for everything. For doubting you. For helping Virgil, even unknowingly." Grace studied his face, saw genuine remorse. "You worked hard on the harvest. You testified honestly. That's enough." "Thank you, ma'am." They stayed in Laramie that night. Nathan got them 2 hotel rooms, one for the adults, one for the children. After everyone was settled, he and Grace walked through town. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "The baby." "Fine so far. Dr. Chen says everything looks good." "And you? How are you really?" Grace thought about it. Relieved, scared, grateful, all of it mixed together. "That's fair." They stopped in front of a store window. Wedding rings gleamed in the display. "We should get you a ring," Nathan said suddenly. "I have your mother's ring." "That's an engagement ring. I want to get you a proper wedding band, something that shows the world you're married, that you're mine and I'm yours." Grace's throat tightened. "Okay." They went inside. The shopkeeper showed them various rings. Grace's eye caught on a simple gold band with tiny engraved roses. "That one." Nathan bought it without asking the price. He slipped it onto her finger right there. "With this ring, I promise to love you, to protect you, to be the husband and father your family deserves, for all my days." "We already got married," Grace said, crying. "I know, but you deserved better than a midnight ceremony with no preparation, so I'm giving you this, my vow, made in daylight with witnesses and my whole heart." The shopkeeper wiped her eyes. "That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard." Grace kissed Nathan right there in the store. Didn't care who saw. Didn't care what people thought. A week later, they stood in the town square to witness Virgil's hanging. Grace didn't want to go, neither did Nathan, but they needed to see it finished. Needed to know he was really gone. Virgil stood on the gallows defiant to the end. He looked at Grace and smiled. "You think you won, but you didn't. You'll always remember me. Always wonder if I'll come back. I'll haunt you worse than any ghost." "You're wrong," Grace said clearly. "You'll be nothing but a bad memory, a cautionary tale, and my children will grow up safe and loved and never knowing your name." Virgil's smile faltered. The trapdoor opened. It was over in seconds. Grace felt no satisfaction, no joy, just relief that her children would never have to fear him again. They rode home in silence. The children were with Martha Henderson for the day. When they got back to the farm, the house was empty. "Grace," Nathan said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "I'm terrified of being a father. Not to the kids, I mean to the baby. A newborn. Something so small and fragile. What if I drop it? What if I don't know what to do? What if—" Grace took his hand and placed it on her stomach. "You'll learn, just like I did with Clara, just like every parent does, and you won't be alone. We're partners, remember?" "Partners," he repeated. "Yeah, we are. Besides, you've already proven you're a good father. Clara adores you. Ben's stutter is almost gone. Rose talks now. Lily and the twins think you hung the moon. And Sam reaches for you before he reaches for me sometimes. Really, really, you're a natural, Nathan. You just don't see it yet." He pulled her close. "What did I do to deserve you? You showed up when I needed you. Everything else followed from that." They stood like that until Martha returned with the children. The house exploded with noise and energy. Ben wanted to show Nathan a drawing. Clara needed help with her reading. The twins demanded a story. Sam needed changing. Normal family chaos. Grace watched Nathan juggle it all with increasing confidence. He'd come so far from the cold man who'd ridden up to collect a debt. That man was gone. In his place was a husband, a father, a partner. That night, tucked in bed, Nathan's hand on her growing belly, Grace felt peace for the first time in years. "I love you," she said. "I love you too. And I love this baby. And I love those kids downstairs. I love all of it. Even the chaos. Especially the chaos." Months passed. The farm prospered under their joint management. Nathan's ranch continued to grow. They split their time between both properties, building a life that straddled two worlds. Grace's pregnancy progressed normally despite her fears. Nathan was attentive, almost obsessively so. He built a cradle, read every book on childbirth he could find, drove Dr. Chen crazy with questions. "He's worse than most first-time fathers," Dr. Chen told Grace with amusement. "He's terrified. He's in love. There's a difference." The children adjusted to the idea of a new sibling with varying reactions. Clara was excited to help. Ben worried there wouldn't be enough love to go around. The twins wanted a sister. Sam just wanted his papa Nathan. "There's enough love," Grace assured Ben. "Love doesn't divide. It multiplies." "How do you know?" "Because I used to think I only had enough love for you and your sisters and brother. Then Papa Nathan came and I found more love than I knew I had. It's infinite, Ben. Love is infinite." One evening, 7 months into the pregnancy, Grace went into labor early. Not dangerously early, Dr. Chen assured them, but earlier than expected. Nathan paced like a caged animal while Dr. Chen worked. "This is normal. Perfectly normal. The blood is also normal. Mr. Merrick, I need you to either calm down or leave. You're making your wife nervous." Nathan forced himself to stillness. He held Grace's hand while she labored through the night. Clara watched the younger children. Toby kept everyone supplied with food and water. Dawn was breaking when the baby finally came. A girl, perfect, healthy, screaming her outrage at being born. Dr. Chen cleaned her and handed her to Grace. "You have a daughter." Grace stared at the tiny face, Jacob's nose, but everything else was pure miracle. "Nathan," she whispered. He moved closer, tears streaming down his face. "She's beautiful." "Want to hold her?" "I'm scared." "So was I with Clara. But you do it anyway." Nathan took the baby with shaking hands. She quieted immediately, staring up at him with dark eyes. "Hello, little one. I'm your papa. Not by blood, but by choice. And I promise to love you and protect you every day of your life." The baby's tiny hand wrapped around his finger. "She's got a good grip," Nathan said, his voice choked. "She's a fighter, like her mama. Like both her parents." They sat together admiring their daughter, while dawn painted the Wyoming sky in shades of gold and rose. "What should we name her?" Grace asked. Nathan thought for a moment. "Hope. I want to name her Hope." "Hope," Grace repeated. "I like it. Hope Merrick. After what she represents. The hope that good things can come from pain, that broken people can heal, that families can be built from pieces that don't match." Grace's eyes filled with tears. "Perfect." The children met their sister that afternoon. Clara was enchanted. Ben was cautious but curious. The twins fought over who got to hold her first. Sam was jealous until Nathan assured him he was still the baby boy and nobody could replace him. "Hope," Clara said softly, touching the baby's cheek. "She's perfect, Mama." "She is." That night, after everyone was asleep, Nathan found Grace nursing Hope in the rocking chair. "You okay?" "More than okay. I'm happy, Nathan. Really, truly happy. I keep waiting for something to ruin it, but nothing will ruin it. We've paid our dues, Grace, survived our trials. Now we get to just live." "Is it really that simple?" "No, life will still be hard. We'll still fight sometimes, still struggle, but we'll do it together, and that makes all the difference." Grace looked down at Hope, then at Nathan. "I was so angry when you first showed up, thought you were the worst thing that could happen to me. And now I know you were the best thing. You saved us, Nathan, not just from poverty or Virgil. You saved us from hopelessness, from believing good things were impossible." Nathan knelt beside the rocking chair. "You saved me too. I was dead inside before I met you, going through the motions but not living. You gave me a reason to be better, to try, to hope. So we saved each other." "Yeah, we did." They sat in comfortable silence until Hope fell asleep. Nathan carried her to the cradle and tucked her in. Then he and Grace went to bed wrapped in each other's arms. Years passed. Hope grew into a bright, curious child with her father's stubbornness and her mother's determination. The other children thrived. Clara became a teacher. Ben overcame his stutter completely. Rose never stopped talking once she started. The twins were inseparable troublemakers. Sam became Nathan's shadow, learning ranching from the ground up. Grace and Nathan built an empire together, not just of land and cattle, but of community. They helped struggling families, gave second chances, proved that wealth meant nothing if it wasn't shared. On their 10th anniversary, Nathan took Grace back to the spot where they'd first met. The farm had expanded, the barn was rebuilt, but the porch where she'd held a rifle on him was unchanged. "You remember that day?" he asked. "Every detail. I was terrified, angry, desperate. I was cold, certain, convinced I was doing the right thing. We were both different people." "Yeah, better people now, I hope." Grace smiled. "Much better." Nathan pulled out a letter. "I wrote something. For you. For us. For anyone who doubts that broken people can build something beautiful." He read aloud while Grace listened, tears streaming down her face. The letter talked about debts. How Nathan had come to collect money and found something far more valuable. How Grace had been prepared to lose everything and instead gained more than she'd imagined. How 5 children became 6, and 2 strangers became partners, and a marriage born of necessity became a love story for the ages. "That's beautiful," Grace whispered. "It's true. Every word." "Read the ending again." Nathan's voice was thick with emotion. "We came from brokenness and built wholeness. We started with fear and chose courage. We began as debtors and creditors and became partners in every sense. And if anyone asks whether second chances are real, whether redemption is possible, whether love can grow from the hardest soil, I point to us, to our family, to the life we built together. We are living proof that hope is never lost. It's just waiting to be found." Grace kissed him. "I love you, Nathan Merrick. I love you, Grace Merrick, for all my days and beyond." They stood there, husband and wife partners, and parents, looking out over the land they'd fought for and the life they'd built together. Behind them, children's laughter echoed from the house. Their children. All 6 of them. Each one loved, each one safe. Each one proof that families are built not by blood alone, but by choice and commitment and love that refuses to quit. The sun set over Wyoming territory in brilliant shades of amber and crimson. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new struggles, but Grace and Nathan would face them together, the way they'd faced everything since that day Nathan rode up to collect a debt and found himself being collected by love instead. And in the end, that made all the difference. Because the greatest wealth isn't measured in land or cattle or gold. It's measured in the people you love, the lives you touch, and the legacy you leave behind. And Grace and Nathan Merrick, once strangers brought together by debt and desperation, had built a legacy that would echo through generations. A legacy of hope. A legacy of redemption. A legacy of love that transformed everything it touched. That was their true fortune. And it was worth more than all the gold in the world.